This podcast is sponsored by Release Winery. Every wine tells a story. Each growing season, it's our goal to create an artisan Napa Valley wine of exceptional quality. Join us as the story of this ultra-limited wine continues. Learn more at releasewinery.com.
I'm here with one of my absolute, and I say this every time, but it's the truth, and I don't care if anybody believes it. I'm here with one of my absolute favorite people in wine country, Pam Starr. Pam, how are you?
I am so good now that you're sitting here at Crocker and Starr Winery. It's been way too long.
It has been way too long. Yeah. But what's cool is the winery now has the cellar, the winery, the crush pad. I know. You've got the whole deal now.
Such a joy.
This is really amazing. So tell me about the new space.
The new space is fantastic. It's basically tradition and history, pre-prohibition meets industrial chic. That's really, the building is prefab. So it's, relatively environmentally friendly. It's made of foam, aluminum, and steel. The only wood in the building is on the facade to hold up the 30 tons of rock, which actually is a mock-up of the 1870s winery from down the street. So it's a really good, and Charlie really came up with that. That was the finishing facade part of making the winery be tie to its historic roots. It's simple and it works really well. I designed it to have no entry tanks. I designed it so that it would be as self-cleaning as possible, as few hands on deck needed, allowable to have any winemaking technique performed at any time that we wanted it. Our schedule is our own. So it's been a pretty big joy. We just finished, 2017 was our second vintage, so we've been in the building for about 16 months. And now I feel like I've got a toddler or little babies and still talking in months.
It really is when you think about it, though.
It is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She's got over a decade's worth of experience. She comes to us from Napa directly, but before that, Cliff Letty. So she's got an amazing palate. Her mom is a perfumer. So
really? Wow, that would be a pedigree there, wouldn't it be?
Absolutely. So they're East Coasters, and Evyn grew up always smelling things, and her awareness and her vocabulary is incredibly acute. So it's been a joy to have her on board. Evyn started with us in May 2017, and I have to say she's really just taken over, which is great. It's allowed me the time and the luxury to climb more into the pilot seat of the company, which I need to do. We've launched a new wine under our portfolio, and I have another one that I'd like to launch as well. So designing wines and having her create them, I think, is really going to be great teamwork. She's got incredible etiquette. I really appreciate the homage she gives me. She still asks me questions and allows me to participate, but that'll probably change in another 10 months, I have a feeling. So, which is completely fine with me, as long as we're making great wines and greater wines every year. And that's the goal. I think winemaking is a life's journey just because it's not over until you finish. And I don't think I've made the ultimate wine. I don't think I will make the ultimate wine. I think striving will always be the course. Amazing patience, which I'm not a patient person. I feel like Tigger. No. So, but it does take patience. I feel like winemaking has taught me a lot about life's journey. I've become a better person just in general making wine, being able to create a product from the ground up and nurture it from every cluster, every vine, all the way through into the fermentation, and then shaking the hands of the people who fall in love with you and follow you. So the journey is very vertical. Cool. Well, you have to be crazy enough to start your own winery. I think that's, step one, go crazy. And you got to have a bee in your bonnet. You got to have a design in your head. You have a want. And I did. I feel very grateful that I met Charlie Crocker in 96, and we've actually formed our partnership in 97. So, I wanted something, and I wanted to create, and I'm still doing it. So the journey of this business has been really interesting. We started with 100 cases of Cabernet Franc, and I built a triad of wines in the first decade of Crocker and Starr. Did a Sauvignon Blanc and a Cabernet Sauvignon along with the Cab Franc. And here we are 19 years later. We started building our own winery. Our 20th year, we entered our own facility, started making wine in our own facility. And now we just did our 21st harvest, and we're still only 3,500 cases.
It's weird, isn't it?
It's very weird. We have luxury space going on in that almost 10,000 square foot building. So it makes this venture, this journey, much more valid, and we're a continuum. We are not done. We've done 2 decades. We're starting our 3rd one. We're still exciting. We're still creating, developing, and our followers have expanded. We have over 1,100 members.
Wow.
We're 95% direct to consumer. And I now have 5 wines in our portfolio, not just 4. One post is the street address where Charlie and I met and shook hands and Crocker and Starr was born. So in 2005, we took all the vines out of Block 1. We're sitting in Block 1 right now, officially. We're actually in the Stone House where we do our experientials, but Block 1 was a Merlot vineyard, and luckily it died to virus because I wasn't going to jump into the Merlot business. So once it left, and we started doing some soil profiling with big holes, and I realized there are some beautiful soils on this aspect of the vineyard, and I wanted to plant heirloom selections of Cabernet Sauvignon, selections of Cabernet that I believe that have been planted in other soils, other appellations that have a legacy of flavor that remains no matter where it's planted. So I put in Bochet and Jenkins and the S clone. I put in more C, which is an established legacy clone here, Jackson, and I did one French Entive clone just for the heck of it. But for the most part, they're what I would call heirloom selections. And in 2013, so I planted that vineyard in 2006. And in 2013, I made our first one-post Cabernet Sauvignon. Now, I didn't know the name of it at the time. And it after a lot of discussion in-house and talking about it, there was somebody who suggested on my team that why don't you just call it the address of where you created the company? And then I called Jim Cross and I said, Jim, I think we've got a name. Can you come up with a visual for me? Well, the story on the back of the label suggests that where Charlie and I shook hands at One Post Street in San Francisco, that One Post Cabernet Sauvignon is a bridge between San Francisco and Napa. So it's a white label. It's super clean, and it almost looks like one of the pillars of the Golden Gate Bridge on the face.
This podcast is sponsored by Release Winery. Every wine tells a story. Each growing season, it's our goal to create an artisan Napa Valley wine of exceptional quality. Join us as the story of this ultra-limited wine continues. Learn more at releasewinery.com.